Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn and we're doing another emoji mash. So when I started this one on Twitch, I actually had one picked out in mind, but we ended up finding another one that worked really well with this other emoji one. So we kind of are getting a double emoji mash, but they're together in the same piece. So our first one was from Critter Guy, which was Fox, Wave, and Chain. And then the other one was from Cereal Milk, which was Fox, Kimono, and Purple Heart. So I started with the Fox, Wave, and Chain for this one, and then you'll see that I add this second emoji mash in. So let me jump in, show you the sketches, and talk you through the process of creating this one. All right, let's jump in and get these sketches started. So for this one, it was really interesting at first to figure out what to do, because like I said, we do eventually do two emojis together. But with these initial rough sketches, we were trying to think like what type of water fox we could do with the chains. And I thought it could be dragging along an anchor or something. And after that, I was like, well, maybe it could be like a spirit or something associated with like a god. Cause I was thinking about like Poseidon and his chariot and like the creatures that are on like all of these different gods' chariots. And that's when my brain remembered that we had the other emoji combo, which was the fox kimono and the purple heart. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what if we combined the two? And I thought it would be perfect because then we could have like a cool big fox water guardian with this humanoid god-like thing as well. And it ended up being two foxes because as we were talking and discussing this on Twitch, like during my rough sketches, we were going nuts, going nuts on some lore ideas. So it ended up being two at first because I just thought it looked cool and it was cool to have them flanked on either side of this god. Plus it went along with the idea of that like chariot. Quite a few of the chariots have two of whatever creature, you know? But then as we kept elaborating on lore and ideas, I first said it would be really cool if one was the ocean in the morning and the other was the ocean at night. And then we went further and they were like, what about the tides? And I'm like, that is perfect. These can be both the high tide and low tide, the ocean at night, the ocean during the day. And then this goddess is kind of like the goddess of the ocean in general. I have like a temporary name for now because I haven't thought of anything like better than this at the moment. So if you have an idea for her and this setup, let me know in the comments, because my first initial idea was calling her like the Tide Mother, just based off of like her controlling and being a part of the tidal shifts with these two giant foxes. But yeah, that's at least my initial idea. So if you have a cooler name or like, I don't know, some other lore that we could integrate to, I guess, inform the name of her and the foxes, like, let me know in the comments. But with that, I knew I wanted them to be connected in some way. So I thought we could have the chains going between all three figures. So for her, I'm technically incorporating the other emoji for chain as well. But I wanted hers to look like the Japanese like rope tying that people do on like torsos and legs and other things. I tried to follow one of those patterns a bit for like the torso chains. And then I thought about two loops near her hips that would connect to the larger foxes. And so all three of them are always traveling together and are kind of like, I wouldn't say one in the same entity, but it's like kind of one just can't exist without the other. Both because of the idea of the high tide, low tide situation, like one is coming and one is going. And then for her, it's just, she is probably like, I don't know if we want her to like represent the ocean in general or just the guardian of the waters, you know? I don't know. It's just an idea of how they can be incorporated together. And then in terms of the pose was also something that we discussed in the Twitch chat because I wanted her to be flanked by the two of them. And I thought it would be really cool to have them on like either side of her. And at first I thought about doing like the guardian like ones of just standing on either side. But then we thought about it being kind of like, I guess like the flow of the tides someone had suggested putting one going into the water and one coming out of the water, kind of to signify the tides coming and going and rotating and changing, you know, as the day goes on. And so I could imagine them kind of rotating around her in that symbolism. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they would interact with other people or maybe unwary or unsuspecting sailors and such. And then after figuring out kind of like the pose and that idea of the cycle, I also wanted to figure out the detailing on the foxes to make them different from each other for like daytime and nighttime. So for the nighttime ocean fox, I added like larger leaves of like kelp, I think. Yeah, kelp. I don't know why that didn't sound right in my brain. Around the body, just because, I don't know. I imagine it like kind of a creature of the deep that you see in like monster movies usually has like that kelp around it. And then for the one of the day, I added a starfish and some like coral bits, because I just imagine every time I think of like a coral reef, I just imagine like the bright, beautiful sunlight coming through and reflecting off of the gorgeous colors of the coral. And I thought that would just work well for like a daytime ocean fox, because I wanted them to have some more design aspects to them instead of only being water. Like, I think the water would have worked okay, but I don't think it would have worked as well as adding some extra details. So after getting their designs figured out, it was time to paint. And honestly, this was the hardest part of the whole thing. Like, I had a lot of fun doing the design and thinking it out, but I really struggled with the painting, because on one hand, I wanted like their backs to look almost like flowing waves, but that was very hard to translate into a body shaped thing or like a mane. And then I added kind of like the mist of like when the waves crash upon each other. And then from there, just painting water is already very hard. I don't know why, but I struggle with it so much. It's one of my like, I guess, weakest points with my art, and I really want to improve on it and get better with it, but it is so hard for me to paint water. So I'm like, yeah, let me draw like 2 giant water foxes. Let's do it as a challenge for myself. But like with that, then you take a amorphous shape of water and try to compress it into a fox shape, or translate those different flows and feelings of water into the shape of the fox as well. And I struggled. I really struggled with the painting part. Now that I'm doing the voiceover and I'm going to be looking at it again, I am happy with how it turned out. But this was one of those things of where I had to trust the process, because I hated it the whole way through. I was just like trying different brush effects and layering different water effects, and I just couldn't really figure out exactly how to make it how it looked in my brain. And I think that's just a skill thing that I will develop with time, and I just need to practice it more. And this was the opportunity to practice water, and I do think I learned a lot from it, but it was agony all the same. So I basically did, I don't know, I guess a water surface brush across the whole thing, and then I added kind of the reflective surface over that, and then I added like a overlay bubble, like hand painted bubbles throughout the body of the foxes too. And I did that on both of them, but for the night fox, I thought it'd be really cool to have like star reflections within its water, because like I feel that's so pretty. Like the daytime fox gets the cool like sun effect that goes across the water, and then the nighttime fox gets the really pretty stars that goes across the water as well. And so they have similar effects in terms of like the base way that I painted them, but I tried to customize and make them look unique in their own ways to match the time of the day that they're associated with. But yeah, with that, I just had to get stuck in and just paint and paint and paint, because the water took so long within the foxes themselves, both because I was experimenting and then trying to figure out how I wanted the colors to look and the line art colors to look. But it took a lot of time, but I think the final results turn out really gorgeous. So now with the fox is done, it was time to get into our goddess, who I wanted to look more like a white fox, but also kind of like, I don't know, lost to sea, emaciated, I guess, as well. So I kind of made her ears look a little odd. I tried to exaggerate them a bit and make them look a little less fluffy, as if like the hair was kind of lost to them over time. And then one of the big inspirations for her with this one is, if any of you, I bet most of you, have seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, I love the Painted Lady episode. And she gave me major Painted Lady vibes when I started designing her. So I had a blast just kind of going ham with her design in general. And I am honestly, I think the thing I'm most impressed with her about is the net veil, like the fishing net veil. I love how that turned out. I'm so impressed with it. It looks really good. I like the form that it has and how it like curves around her back. Oh, I was just so proud of it. It was one of those things right when I finished like adding the lines, I'm like, this is perfect and I love it. But with that though, like I knew what her design overall would look like, but I struggled with the colors a bit because I wanted her to look correct with these two, but I also had to think about the purple heart aspect. So with the purple heart, I wanted to make her kimono mostly purple. I know it's not like a heart per se, but I took the color from the emoji and tried to make that her primary color. And as I see it too, it's kind of like the blues and like the reds from like a morning sunrise and a nighttime ocean meld together and make the purple. So it ended up making sense with the lore of her as well. But I really kind of struggled with exactly how to do the color distribution from her, because I didn't want her to blend in with the foxes, but I wanted her to have aspects of their color so then she like related to them somehow, so she didn't feel like just an inserted character with these things. So I wanted to make sure she looked related in some way. And I also started doing detailing on her that just felt too busy. And with this piece, I ended up rating a friend of mine on Twitch, and he gave me a really fun insight when I shared this for Art Tax and showed him what I was doing. And that's like the idea of, if everything is like hyper detailed and rendered, then like nothing is important, you know, on a piece. So you tend to like have it's usually like the important thing is like detailed and rendered, and then you like let the other things fade into the background. And he said that he really liked how I did this because I did the opposite, where the foxes and this water are highly detailed and rendered, but I kept her lighter on the detail, so she still is like a focal point, but she doesn't really get lost amongst the foxes or the water. She still is able to stand out because she doesn't have super heavy details. Like I didn't add like crazy patterning to her kimono or anything. I just kept it simple. And I'm like, I can't take credit for it because I didn't think about it that way, but I will totally say that that was unintentional, but worked out perfectly, you know? So yeah, I was really happy with how this turned out. I did find some new water brushes to use on the Clip Studio store. And so I used those for like the surface water of this like kind of in between. I don't know if I'd call this dusk. I feel this is still like night, but maybe it's like right when night starts because the nighttime fox is starting to come out of the water and the other one is going into the water. So yeah, I just really love how the background turned out. And then I almost forgot the chains. I went through this whole painting and I'm like, oh my God, we got to do the chains. Like it was in the sketch, but I totally forgot it with the painting. And it honestly like wrapped it all together really nicely. I think it adds just a nice little detail to everything, especially when I go through and add some of the highlights and other stuff. I feel it just looks really sick and like brings the characters together. And I love this piece so, so much. And there we have it. We have this epic, like, god-like character with her two, I guess, like, I don't know if you'd call them guardian foxes or maybe just, like, fox, not even familiars. I feel they're all gods in their own right. During the voiceover, I probably talked to you guys all about the lore and everything, but with this one, I just thought it'd be so fitting to combine these two, both because, like, the fox aspect, so then, like, we could have, like, a goddess that was fox adjacent with the two foxes. But I just felt they worked really well together, and unexpectedly, like, I'm just like so pleased with the combo, I guess. I didn't really think about doing this with emoji mashes. So now I think this opens like a whole new avenue for like combining some of your guys' ideas, because I can do like one creature or character mixed with another one. So if you want to put it down in the comments below, I'll open it up to a few more of like put like character and like 3 emojis and like creature with 3 emojis in your comment. Because maybe we could do like a hero with their familiar, or like a villain character monster fighting like a knight or something, you know, like we can find a way for them to like interact with each other in these pieces. But either way, thank you guys again so much for stopping by and checking out this video. I love these emoji mashes. They're just like such a fun new way to do monster mashes for my brain. And they itch such a good itch in my creativity. And I love them so much. I also want to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting me and supporting this channel directly. If you guys would like to get goodies sent to you every month, here is our monthly mail club for this month. This is your last chance to sign up to receive this, and then you get basically a print, a sticker, and a sticker sheet in the mail to you every month. Or if you just want to throw me a buck or two, there's a tip what you want just to help support me and the channel. This helps me afford all my merch for like comic conventions. I also sometimes need to pay an editor to help me with all my convention travels and such coming up. So your support really helps a lot. And even if you can't support on Patreon, following, liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that to help me with like the algorithm side of things is super appreciated. But either way, thank you guys again so much for stopping by. I had a blast doing this intense piece. The background was a challenge, but I'm very happy I challenged myself to try something hard, and I think it paid off. I feel like I learned a lot through this piece. I still need to improve, and I think every piece is leading me more and more towards like what I want to achieve with my art. So I'm pretty happy with, you know, how this all came out today. But either way, thank you guys again so much for stopping by, and I'll see you all later. Bye, everybody.